A young boy is buried in the jungle and trained by the shaman to kill the matriarch leader of a despotic post-apocalyptic city. Over the years, he undergoes martial arts, strength training, and weapons training to avenge his family's deaths. In flashbacks, Boy narrates his simple life with his eccentric mother and best friend Mina. They plan to rob a bank and run away from the city, but are selected for the yearly culling. Years later, Boy almost beats the shaman in a fight, but sees a hallucination of Mina, causing him to lose. They sell produce in the city and meet a cute flower girl who gives him a flower. But the soldiers of the regime arrive. The flower girl loves the coys and the culling, and Boy crumples the flower in his hand. The shaman pulls him around a corner, and they watch as he dies. Glenn Van de Kooi, accompanied by his wife Melanie and brother-in-law Gideon, arrives to select 12 dissidents for public execution. Glenn struggles to deliver a poorly written speech by Gideon that mentions owls, angering the crowd. In a fit of rage, Glenn shoots at a woman who insults him, unintentionally killing someone else. The crowd turns against them, but the soldiers, led by June 27th, ruthlessly slaughter the protesters. Only 6 people remain for the culling, so Glenn orders them to be rounded up. Meanwhile, a boy, determined to stop them, defies the shaman's advice and hides in the trunk of Glenn's car. At a warehouse, Gideon berates Glenn for causing a massacre and failing to gather 12 people. Glenn plans to manipulate Melanie to fix their predicament. When Melanie arrives, Glenn shifts blame to Gideon, and she scolds them both, but insists they find 12 individuals for the culling. The boy, Mina's hallucinations still present, explores the warehouse, reminding himself to stay quiet and stealthy. However, he mistakenly exposes himself to Glenn, who sends men after him. Remembering his training, the boy fights back using hand-to-hand combat, knives, and the soldiers' own guns. Amidst the chaos, he encounters Basho, who offers to help if freed from his chains. They join forces, with the boy eliminating the soldiers while Basho takes cover. Eventually, all the soldiers are killed. Glenn is caught by Boy and Basho. Glenn confesses that Hilda has a party before the culling and offers to help them sneak in. Basho accidentally drops a vice on Glenn's head, killing him. Boy and Basho argue about Glenn's intentions. They realize that the Resistance's secret location is empty.
Except for Benny. Benny tells Basho that the regime killed everyone else, including his lover. Boy comforts Basho. Basho becomes enraged and determined to strike back. They tell Boy the plan, but Benny's explanation is gibberish to him. Mina tells Boy to nod and improvise. They go to Hilda's mansion, knock out some guards and a chef, and give Boy the chef clothes. Boy gets distracted by macaroons, but eventually fights the other workers using kitchen tools. He decapitates a guard and Hilda, only to realize it's not her. Boy is surrounded by guards and Gideon, who reveals that it was a trap. Boy fights with June 27th, but is eventually defeated. Boy dreams of his past and how he was saved by the shaman. He wakes up tied to a chair, where June 27th punches him and demands information about the shaman. Gideon intervenes and explains that Hilda has become paranoid and murderous, executing people under the pretense of rooting out dissidents. Gideon is tired of the regime's actions. Boy refuses to cooperate, and Gideon orders him to be part of the show. At the studio, Melanie plans to use Boy as a special example, regretting that he killed Glenn, who was supposed to be the show's host. On a soundstage, a man is chained up with a shock collar around his neck. Hilda, the host, initially does well but becomes unstable when she thinks she sees the shaman in the audience. She pulls out a gun, despite efforts to prevent her from having one. Melanie presents a disturbing tableau where 12 chosen individuals will be killed in a winter wonderland setting. The victims are brutally beaten, stabbed, and eviscerated. Boy, horrified by the violence, remembers that Gideon gave him a scalpel during a conversation. He cuts a rope to free himself, but is incapacitated by his shock collar and surrounded by attackers. However, a man in a goat costume appears and kills the attackers. It is Basho, who is joined by Benny, and they explain their successful plan to Boy, although he doesn't fully understand. The trio fights the assassins together, with Boy using a brass knuckle gun handed to him by Benny. In the control room, Melanie is angry that the show is ruined while Gideon seems pleased. Melanie confronts Gideon with a gun, but he doesn't care about his fate. Returning to the stage,
Boy fights a serial pirate mascot and runs out of bullets. Benny provides him with a new clip, and Boy defeats the mascot. Just as they think they have won, Melanie appears and shoots Benny, who sacrifices himself to save Boy. Boy holds Benny as he dies, not understanding his final words. Basho is also shot. Boy uses a pineapple mascot as a shield and overpowers Melanie. A boy ties Melanie to a chair, making her believe she will be executed on live television. Instead of begging for her life, Melanie urges him to make her a martyr. The camera pans away before quickly zooming back in on her, causing her to scream as it smashes into her face, resulting in blood splatters and a cracked lens. The boy had attached metal spikes to the camera, piercing her face. She slumps to the floor. The boy helps his wounded companion, Basho, get up, and Basho assures him that he will take him to Hilda, emphasizing their teamwork and his promise. In a hallway, guards approach, and Basho instructs the boy to escape while he confronts the guards. The boy, recalling his past trauma and training, uses a sword to swiftly kill all the guards. Reverting back to reality, he sees that Basho has succumbed to his injuries. With no other option, the boy continues onward, determined to reach his destination. Further along the hallway, the boy encounters Gideon, who reveals that Melanie had already shot him, eliminating the need for a final confrontation. Gideon hands the boy a key card that grants access to a bunker. The boy prepares to strike Gideon with his sword, but a hallucination of his sister Mina appears, urging him not to kill Gideon. The boy, resentful of his sister's memory, dismisses her pleas and kills Gideon before proceeding. Entering an elevator, Hilda appears on a screen and warns the boy that he will be killed upon arrival. Undeterred, the boy reveals a drawing of Mina's plan, shocking Hilda into silence before cutting off the communication. Upon reaching the ground floor, armed men surround the boy but do not open fire. June 27th, wearing a helmet bearing Hilda's name, greets him. Boy drops his sword. Entering a luxurious living room, the boy's world spins as he gazes at a large painting. His sole purpose in life has been to kill Hilda, and the painting reveals that Hilda is his mother. Hilda approaches the boy, tearfully begging for his forgiveness and expressing remorse for not recognizing him. She acknowledges the suffering he endured at the hands of the shaman and pleads for him to show some recognition of her. Suddenly, the boy remembers the truth. He was not a victim, but a willing participant at the execution. The shaman, his son, the woman he had believed was his mother, and her daughter were lined up to be shot. The shaman pleaded for the children's lives, but Hilda cursed them and forced the boy to kill them. He shot and killed the shaman's son, the woman, and her daughter. Driven by his mother's manipulation, the boy panicked and fired the gun randomly before fleeing the scene. Boy runs into the jungle, overwhelmed with guilt for his actions. The shaman finds him and attacks, but then decides on a different plan. He manipulates Boy by using torture and drugs to make him forget Hilda and believe that his mother and sister are dead. To exert control, the shaman removes Boy's tongue and deafens him. Boy later learns the horrifying truth that he unknowingly killed his aunt and uncles and is part of a twisted family. Hilda reveals that his sister, June 27th, is actually alive. Hilda pleads for any sign that Boy still recognizes her, but he is too shocked to respond. Seeing Boy as a threat, Hilda orders June 27 to kill him. However, June 27 hesitates and ultimately kills her mother instead. June 27th and Boy arm themselves with Uzi submachine guns and fight their way out of the compound, taking down their enemies. In an elevator, June 27th reveals that Hilda always believed Boy was alive and hurt others in search of him. They encounter the shaman again, who understands why he did what he did. Boy realizes that the shaman sought revenge and now wants to eliminate all members of the Koi family, including June 27th. A deadly fight ensues, with the shaman initially overpowering Boy and June 27th causing severe injuries. Boy manages to retrieve a sharp rock from the shaman's necklace, but is wounded. Overcoming the pain, Boy finds the strength to kill the shaman. Boy refuses to abandon his sister and rescues her from the compound. Determined to escape the oppressive city, Boy vows to find a way out and bring peace by overthrowing the remaining Koi family members. The story ends with a flashback of Boy and Mina in an arcade, playing a fighting game. Mina asks if Boy is with her, and he replies, "Always."